It seems about 94 cents way overpriced.
Hello, Andrea. So we're just opening the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee. It is May 6th, and our agenda tonight, actually, we have a public hearing for our town meeting warrant articles, and we have various project updates. So I will take a motion to open the public hearing for the town meeting warrant articles.
Motion made.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. It is open. I will read, the notice of public hearing as it appeared in the paper. Actually, it was in the Sun Chronicle. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Chapter 44B, the Community Preservation Act. The Norfolk Community Preservation Committee will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 6, 2015, at 7:30 in Room 124 at the Norfolk Town Hall to receive public comment on the warrant articles submitted for the annual town meeting and the annual work plan. All funds for the four warrant articles summarized below are to be paid from the Norfolk Community Preservation Fund. 1, to appropriate a sum of $35,000 for an administrative and operating budget. 2, reserve a sum of money equal to 10% for future appropriation in each category of open space, affordable housing, and historic resources. 3, allocate $40,000 from the Affordable Housing Reserve and $360,000 from undesignated reserves to be transferred to the Norfolk Affordable Housing Trust Fund. 4, allocate from historic reserves an amount not to exceed $5,000 for ground penetration radar scanning at the Norfolk and Pondville cemeteries. Actually, I will note that we are not doing the annual work plan because the chairman did not get around to updating it, so we will table that, and we will do it in the future. And so the discussion on our four warrant articles, the first one, the sum of $35,000 for an administrative and operating budget. This amount, if not fully spent, is returned to the general fund at the end of every fiscal year. It does fund our administrative assistant, and it also funds the things such as, appraisals, thank you, loss of words, appraisals of property, and just, office supplies, anything else that is
Administrative salaries.
incidental. Yeah, our administrative salary. Is there any discussion on that warrant article? Hearing none, I will go to the second one, which is the sum of money to be reserved 10% for future appropriation in open space, affordable housing, and historic resources. This is the amount that is mandated by the Community Preservation Act. Every year, we set aside 10% of our incoming funds, which are collected from both the town and then matched to a certain extent by the state, for each of these uses: open space and recreation, affordable housing, and historic resources. These stay in each of these, we call them our buckets, to be spent on projects that are approved by this board and by town meeting. And each of these buckets continues to build if it is not spent. The rest of it goes, the remaining 70% goes into an undesignated fund, which is used to supplement the other categories. You want anything to add? Discuss? Our third article is to allocate what essentially is a total of $400,000. 40,000 from the Affordable Housing Reserve and the remaining $360,000 from undesignated reserves to go to the Norfolk Affordable Housing Trust. The Norfolk Affordable Housing Trust requested this amount of money. They gave us a presentation a few months ago detailing the progress that they had made in establishing new affordable housing units in town. I think they had put in 6 or 7 over the past year. Some was new build and some was rehab properties. And this will allow them the funds to be able to purchase additional properties for conversion to affordable homes. They always have like a cash flow issue. They spend the money to purchase the home, upgrade it, and then they sell it, but they sell it always for less than what they have put into it. And they also have to wait until the sales are completed, until their funds are replenished. So this amount of money will give them some freedom to purchase some what will be affordable homes here in Norfolk. And it also, and then it will regenerate as they continue to sell properties. Anyone want to add anything to that? Okay. The next is the $5,000 for the ground penetration radar scanning at the Norfolk and Pondville cemeteries. The purpose of this is there is a gentleman who does this ground penetration radar scanning. He's able to determine if any of the soils have been disturbed, even where there may not be headstones. And this will allow the DPW and the Historic Commission to figure out if there are any graves that are not marked that are there. It may allow the Historic Commission to identify who might be in those graves. And there are records that show how many people have been buried in the cemeteries, and then there are the records of where the plots are, and those records do not match up. So hopefully this will allow for some of that to be matched up. And it also will make sure that if there are any graves that are not identified, they will not be disturbed in the future, whether or not they can be identified as to who is there. Did I do sufficient on that? Okay. Any discussion? All right, so those are our warrant articles. I urge everyone to come to town meeting.
The only thing you could add to that is that the DPW has identified 2 areas, one at the Norfolk Cemetery and one at the Pondville Cemetery, for which the records are just non-existent.
Okay.
They don't know these 2 areas that we're scanning are areas that are unidentified. So we don't know if they've been used or unused. So it's vitally important both ways, because space is getting short in both cemeteries. So if they have not been used, there's a need for them. But if they have, then we need to identify them.
It's mostly done on the periphery of the property, isn't it?
They're both on the periphery areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're not, we don't have any records to back it up, because the Pondville records have all gone astray. So therefore, they have to rely mainly on the inventories that have been done of the existing headstones. There's no record to go on at all.
So we had, for anyone who couldn't hear, we had input from Barbara Bartholomew of the Historic Commission that there are areas in both cemeteries for which records are not available. And so this will also allow the DPW to be able to identify whether or not there is space available or whether they are occupied. And because space overall at both cemeteries is becoming less crucial. Okay. All right, is there any other discussion on any of our warrant articles? If not, we can close the public hearing and move on to our,
Do we need a motion to pass them, or did we already do that?
we already did that. So we just need a motion to close if there's no other
Motion to
discussion.
close.
Is there a second to close? Any other discussion on the warrant articles? Okay, we will, all in favor of closing? Aye. So the public hearing for the warrant articles is closed. We do have project updates. One sec, Betsy?
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
writing, yeah.
And just business first. This is your packet, Andrea, from
Thank you.
a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, months ago.
Want to pass these down to be signed?
Just,
Can I have a copy of that, what you just read, though?
you can have my copy.
I just wondered,
Here's the one,
oh, okay,
we're number 20.
okay.
It came in the mail today.
Yeah, I think I probably have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the articles, is that the question you're asking? We're Articles 20 through 23
Oh, okay.
in the warrant.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that equals 4.
Out of 28 articles.
Yes, I hear it may move quickly. The easiest thing among our project updates, the easiest thing to update at the moment is the open space and recreation plan. That'll be quick. I know that Gino Carlucci, who is our contractor for our open space and recreation plan, has received feedback and updates on the draft goals and objectives from the Water Department, the Historic Commission, Planning Board, Conservation, and he's been trying to meet with Recreation, but I think a couple of their meetings have been canceled due to a lack of quorum. So he is scheduled to be at their next meeting, whenever that might be occurring. And then he also said that, he says, in the meantime, I've been making progress on the other sections, updating the whole plan in general, and hope to have a draft by June. So even though he's still waiting on some updates for the draft goals and objectives, he is working on other parts of the plan. This plan for the audience will allow the town, once it is approved by the state, will allow the town to apply for grants for various open space and recreation activities, which will be wonderful, especially some of the recreation things that CPA cannot be used for. Anyone else, anything on that?
I just was wondering what the status of the recreation feasibility study was, and whether or not it'll inform the open space plan.
Ann was providing that to him.
Okay.
So, but they're also meeting, separately and discussing as a board.
Okay.
Because he's going to explain to the board, which many of the members are newer, since the first open space and rec plan was done, exactly what, the purpose is in the updating. I don't know if there's any update on the town pond pipe?
No, there is not.
Okay. I just put it on the agenda just in case. We did, Barbara, I think you're here. I think we'll put you next. You would need a microphone, and you could, if you would, if you'd like to tell us about the Fales Park Memorial opening, or I can, or we both can, because that was wonderful. It's Barbara Bartholomew of the Historic
Want this
Commission.
one, Bud?
Okay, that's good.
The microphone thing, so.
I'm having problems with the knee.
It's more comfortable.
Well, no, it's just the knee is giving out.
I have one of those as well.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to start with the opening? I was very pleased. We had over 35 people in attendance. Program went very well. We had one glitch. We didn't get a picture of the ribbon cutting, but I'm working on that. And I'm going to see if I can get the little girl back from Franklin, and we'll do it again and take the picture. Because the film is perfect. I mean, we got the before and we got the after, and we're missing that crucial point where she snipped. She must have, like a little kid, hurried and missed, and the photographer missed it. So I'm sure the father he's been very cooperative.
Our videographer didn't get it?
No, she's got
isn't that
the
funny?
before. When I announced, we were going to use the Fales were present, we'd use the youngest little girl to do the honors. And then I afterwards, again, that she's got that, but the little crucial part where is not there. But it will fit in very neatly. It can be spliced in. I've been over the studio, viewed the video, and it'll be nice. So
Yes,
then we
Barbara did have a member of the Fales family, and two
His
eighth
two
or
chil-
ninth generation.
He has two children. He was Michael Fales. He lives in Franklin, and his mother lives is married to Edward Fales, and they live over in Needham. But the father is not too well, so she was iffy on whether they'd be able to attend, and they didn't make it. We're not sure yet. We're still trying to wade through the Fales genealogy that Walpole has, which is a volume about yay thick, to find out which branch. We know it's not the Norfolk branch because the Norfolk branch exhausted itself. Bertha was the last living member of that family tree. So they couldn't possibly, but they are related to James Fale, the originator from Walpole and Dedham. So that as are all the Fales in this clan. So
And I will have to say, I think it was Betsy Whitney and I both couldn't get over that the entrance, how it looked nothing like what we clambered up
Oh, no,
Oh,
the DPW.
mucho years ago.
DPW has done a great job. It really looks nice. They cleaned it up and they put all wood chips down. It's
no longer a goat path.
We get the panel in and we
The
get the
one where
sign
the
in.
foundation is in that
Were you-
entrance there.
Were you able to put the plaque up in that triangular piece, or did you have to put it up at the
triangle there.
top?
No, I put it in the triangular piece on the left side of the trail.
Oh, good, so
Did you-
it's like an entrance to the
It's
trail?
part of the entrance. And then
Oh,
up on,
great.
further up the hill, I put the green Fales Park sign. So it kind of, brackets, this is where we're going, up to the park.
Yeah, it basically bore no resemblance to,
No.
I did a while ago.
It looks great. It really does. It looks very, very nice. And the DPW to be commended. They've done a wonderful job. Everything I've asked them to do, they've done so very, very well. And I can't fault them for their cooperation. They just can't do enough for you. So today we're here to do signs for the trails. And I've got a trails map, and this is 7th edition. I've had many minds working on this.
and this is for the Highland Grove,
The
Highland Lake,
Fales Park Trail,
Vales Park Trail, okay.
okay?
Get the formal name
And this is
correct.
what it's going to look like. I get 3 of these. You can send them down so everyone can glance at one.
Yeah, we'll share.
And size-wise, they will blow it up to this size. It's going on a 12 by 18 blank. It'll be silk screen, and it'll be reproduced in color as you see it. It'll be screened onto an aluminum blank. And we'll position one down across the road from the parking area off Main Street, and we'll position the other one up at the top of the hill off Campbell Street,
Oh, okay.
so that people coming into the park from either direction will be able to see the layout of the trails. All right, I've been in contact with the Mass, Gail Sullivan on the commission, put me onto this Mass Corps, the prison industrials,
Oh,
Yeah,
and they make signs, very normally cost signs. So I've got a packet here for you, and you can send these around to everyone, and we'll start with page 1, because this is what they've come up with in terms of what I told them we needed, and then they've come back with the cost to supply these needs. And the bottom line is, it's going to cost us about 200 plus to get all the signs we need for the trails and the map sign that will go in the park. There'll be 8 trail signs in all. 6 of them are listed there at the bottom of the map. And those are the trails, the actual trails themselves, that are named after members of the Fales family, starting with Amaziah, the patriarch of the Norfolk clan, and down to Squire Miller Fales, who was the last who ran the foundry in the early 1800s. There's 2 additional signs, one to go up in the grove at the top, and that sign will be it will say Bertha Fales Grove, and the other sign, I'm going to have that sign put just beyond the parking lot, the parking area off the access road, on the access road before it goes up to the houses, and it's simply going to say, no vehicles allowed.
okay.
It's not going to say it's not a public way, it says no trespassing or any of that, just going to say, no vehicles allowed, which means, put your car in there
Right.
and walk.
Right.
So hopefully that will alleviate a problem that the residents who live on the point are having, with people, tromping back and forth their front yards. So basically, hopefully we'll start with that and so we can go from there. All right, the cost on those, a blank, you have 2 costs. You have the cost for the metal sign and then the cost for screening it. And it figures out it costs more to make the screen and screen it than it does for the blank. So they run $17.47 apiece. The 2 trail maps, which are larger, 12 by 18, and they're custom designed because they're going to involve 4 colors, white, blue, green, and black. So the aluminum signs are $13.50 apiece, and then there's $30 in screening charges. because each color is a different screen, so they have to manufacture the 3 screens in order to accomplish it. The last item is not for the park, that's for another project. I've got the selectmen, or the selectmen have agreed and designated that the 2 roundabouts uptown are going to be named, and the one near Daly Station is going to be the Ware Circle, and the one over by Union Street is going to be the Avery Circle, which essentially is better than just saying, roundabouts. So, while I'm at it, I'm getting 2 signs made to put in the middle. Then they'll face, the one at Daly's will face 2 ways on Main Street, and the one at the other one will face 2 ways on Union Street. So as you're going around the sign, round the circle, either way you'll catch the.
So one is Ware, W-A-R-E,
Yes.
and Avery, where does Avery come? I mean, we know that, I'm
Reverend
familiar-
Avery was the renegade minister from Rentham that came here to North Rentham and brought his followers with him and led to the separation of the split in the church and the North Renthamites creating their own meeting house.
Oh, all right.
All
I'm
right.
familiar with the Ware, the Ware name, obviously.
Where, of
but-
course, is most significant in that crossroads because, of course, we had the Josiah Ware Tavern.
Right,
The hill was given to the town by Ebenezer Ware. And then, of course, the Josiah Ware, the station master, had his mansion where Daly's station is currently located. So 3 of the 4 corners were originally Ware land.
Did you say those circle, where's that information in this?
well, that we're not paying, I mean, that's not our,
That's not under CPC.
it's just the quote is here for it, because it was all part of
I
my
put it
quote.
I put it at the bottom. It's a proposal for roundabout signs, but that's what's going to. to
And I was just
Massachusetts.
curious where the Avery came from.
Well,
So
it's
I asked.
misplaced.
Yeah,
But we couldn't do much about it. That back in 1970, during the centennial, the town, I think it was in the action of the Centennial Committee, the town voted to have that square labeled the Reverend Avery Ware,
oh,
Avery Square. It's not the correct location. Reverend Avery lived over at the intersection of Village Green and Cleveland.
oh, okay, wow.
But there was,
So named because he brought his congregation that actually was responsible for building the first meeting house.
yeah,
So,
but he
It
was
seems
gone
like
by
it-
then.
I know, he was gone, but it was
Having
he and
led
his little
Having
band.
led the rebellion,
Yes.
he evidently fell into disfavor with his followers, because when it came time,
They
they
did
started
not.
building the meeting house in 1795, and 1798, when they named the first pastor for the North Parish, they passed over him and
It was Reverend Cleveland.
named Reverend Cleveland, and so Avery then packed up his bags and went home to Connecticut.
But Avery brought the ponds with
Yes.
him,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is why it was.
He had a following.
Yeah,
when
he had a
came
great
here. And
following.
he preached out of his house up on Village Green.
Yeah.
But evidently, as the years passed, his popularity diminished,
Yeah.
as frequently happens. I mean, they were all gung-ho, and then suddenly he's not in favor, or he said something they didn't like, I don't know what, but,
Money.
yeah, it is money. Well, the old Yankees, they were pretty contrary people. So that's why that's on there, because that's going in as part of the purchase, but
Okay.
that isn't going in.
That isn't
It
us.
has nothing to do with CPC, it has to do with the Historic Commission.
And then I
tailgating.
see a proposal for benches.
Yes. Well, let's take them in order.
Okay.
The next page is a proposal for laying out the trails and cleaning the trails at the Vales Park. And I've stumbled upon a way of doing it with some immediacy, sometime in the next few months, if you can believe, at a nominal cost. And these trails have all been, they were originally laid out with the help of the Conservation Commission, so we're good to go.
Okay,
And they've been surveyed, in other words, that survey that Landmark did incorporated the whole area, so we know specifically where the wetlands and everything are. So we have no problems with that. And that basically now it's just a matter of putting them on the ground and clearing out what's necessary and putting up the signs. So I found that the Department of Correction has this community work crew service. And we used it about 5 years ago. We had a crew, and they painted the tramp house. And the commission paid for the paint and the refreshments for the gentlemen that were doing the painting. And it cost us a very nominal sum. And in fact, Betsy even got the paint donated, so all we ended up was paying like $90 to give them their breakfast and their lunch. And you couldn't get the tramp house painted for $90. And then last year, of course, it needed repainting, and the Lions Club very generously donated their time, and members of the Lions Club painted it, so we've been able to maintain. So using the same source, I've been in contact, and basically they're quite interested. I understand from what I'm hearing is at the moment they have a lack of projects, so they're looking for things to do. So we might, there's a good chance, it'll be done in a reasonably short time. I've roughed it out, and it's hard to say at this point, because they've got to bring somebody on the ground now that they've indicated their interest in the project to assess how much work is involved and how long. So it may be a 1 day, it may be a 2 day. They may send a 6-man crew, or they may send a larger crew of 9, and that's iffy. So what I've tried to do is cost it out to give you around a ballpark figure as to what we're talking about. And what I've come down to is, where's my, fudgy, somewhere it is. Here it is. I had it roughed out. I figured that the cost of doing this cleanup will run somewhere between $200 to $400, give or take a few, roughly. If it's a minimal amount of work and a minimal crew and only 1 day, we'll be down in the range of about 200. If they go 2 days with a larger crew, then we're going to, just about double it. So it will run 200 to 400 to get that done. But I've talked with Mr. Hathaway this morning, and I have the blessings upstairs to use the work crew, so that's been cleared. And I just talked to Dan, is whether he give us a hand to actually mark the trails out.
Right.
Do some, and Ron Bain suggested just get a can of spray paint and just, put it on the leaves and indicate, go this way, put a little arrow.
Right.
To indicate where we want it. So that would take care of that.
So the community work crews actually earn this money?
No, we pay their lunch.
Oh, this is the money for their,
We give them breakfast and lunch.
yeah, Betsy Pine.
They come on at
mentioned.
7 o'clock in the morning, so we, give them they have a work break probably around.
But the
9 or
labor
10.
is
The labor's
free.
free.
So this is, okay, yeah.
And then we have to pay for, at present, unless I can work an angle, we have to pay for a porta potty,
Yeah,
because that's a remote area and there's no facilities accessible.
Right.
And that runs $150 because you got to rent it for 28 days.
28 days?
28 days is a
I
minimum.
wonder if,
Well, that's what I'm working on.
yeah,
Yeah.
If some contractor doesn't have one, we could borrow for
Borrow
a day or
it.
two.
We, on the Lions Club, we rent them for 1 day.
You did?
Yeah, for Community Day.
Oh, maybe I talked to the wrong person then.
Yeah. I'm just curious, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I didn't mean
Yeah,
to
you don't
say-
want to leave it up there for 28 days.
No, I wouldn't leave it there.
Yeah.
I had thought, in fact, I had even thought maybe approaching the Community Day and see if we could get the work crew there at this simultaneous in the same week. If we could do sharesies on it. But I'll go back to them. And maybe I didn't identify myself well enough, or the girl who was on the phone didn't recognize that I was a
maybe
A
can you give,
nonprofit.
there must be multiple providers.
Oh, I would
No,
assume.
no, there's
No,
one
there's
of them.
only one?
They got a corner on the market. They're all over on the, Belcher Road there in Foxborough. They're operating under they're doing business under 3 names,
Ah,
but they're all the same
all
company.
the same company.
Because you call one and you get the other. I forget, I called Andy something and I wound up with United, so I figured, uh-oh,
Huh.
we're all one. So they bought them all out. They're the only supplier. The next nearest supplier is Springfield. Tewksbury and Springfield. So there's a depot over in Foxborough. Well, let me work on that. That's not carved in stone. That was what I got the other morning when I contacted them.
Because I know, of course, we have one at the playground, and there must be one or a couple at Pod Street, and the baseball has some too, so,
Yeah.
sports.
Those are long-term. They service those.
Yeah, but I was
Yeah.
thinking if in fact it's,
Or-
I was thinking the borrows.
Yeah, well,
Busy-
if we can find a contractor
businesses,
that's, you know,
twice a
some contractors have their own, they purchase them.
Right.
And
Last season, once a
sometimes you can work a deal. And I've got a couple of names.
I wonder if
so-
Flying can do it for one day, because it's like a nonprofit, you know.
Well, the cost is getting it here and back
Yeah.
I don't think the monthly rental is that high. It's the transport it here and transport it back that you're paying. But anyway, I've
Okay.
got it figured in there because it's a possible expense. And I haven't figured out yet a way to get around it. But I'm working on it. Then I printed out, this is the pamphlet that the girl at the correction sent me. And this is their service pamphlet. So if you're not familiar, as I say, we had used them once before. Then the last thing I have are the benches. And I stumbled on this curiosity, me. And I went online and I found, tried Amazon, and lo and behold, what did I find? They sell everything. They sell these resin ends. They're two ends with all the hardware, and all you do is add the 2x4s, and you make a bench.
Huh.
And the ends, a pair of ends with hardware, cost approximately $50.
Jeez.
And I went to Home Depot, and the new Weather Shield 2x4s would cost $13 and some change, $13.57 with tax. So it's about $13. And you buy 8-footers, cut them in half, and you get two benches, and $50 for each end. So for $125, you get two benches. And I'll get the DPW to sink them in concrete so they're not portable
Right.
and they won't tip over. And we'll put them up there in the grove. And if people want to sit and look out over the lake, so be it. So the whole
Nice.
package that I put together and that I hope can get done would run us between, I figure, $600 to $800. Probably less, but max.
This, I was trying to remember, I don't know, did you,
So when we put in for the work this time, with the 3 panels and all, and the park panels and all, there's extra money.
yeah,
just
that's what I was
looking.
just looking, I've got an old,
We were under budget on the panels because we allowed $2,000 a panel.
Money's left over in the budget.
I don't know, I've lost track, but I know we put in $2,000 per panel. And we're producing the panels at roughly $1,500. So we've got about, we've got over $1,000 for sure left
I
over.
got Fields Memorial. Oh, I'm not sure if that's right. We'll have to check.
Yeah,
This is a couple of months, I've got Fields Memorial, original,
As of,
750.
Cindy, does this number sound familiar? February, this is the February.
Uh-huh.
There was a reserve of $749.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's what we have listed in February, unless did you put in any vouchers since
no,
February?
the only thing we've got is the Pondville panel. You submitted.
Yeah.
it.
But that didn't come out of fails, right?
Oh, that's
No.
still there, 1,200
that's-
and
that's-
something.
that's
Oh,
separate.
I got a little nervous.
No,
Okay.
that's a different one.
That'd be
The
okay. We should be at
file has
700.
gone to Paneer.
Oh, good.
They had, Amanda left,
Yeah, you
which I
said that.
told
Although,
her.
wait a minute, I got Highland/Fails entrance.
Yeah.
That was 8,600. I'll have to, yeah, and this says
That's
Tri-County
the- that's the
Pannier
purchase.
Landmark, no.
You sure?
The items that came out of there are Tri-County, Pannier, and Landmark Engineering.
Yeah.
That's this project. It looks like there's 4,500 in there.
So we don't have to vote it into a separate,
Well, no, I thought we had budgeted sufficient. more than enough.
Right.
As we always do, because you can always put it back if
Right.
you don't use it. So that,
I think
and we had-
that's
we
it.
had included the extra because we had planned originally on doing the signage.
Yeah, it's just an expansion of the scope of the
Yeah.
project. Yeah.
Right.
What would Falls Memorial be then?
I would go back to the
Yes,
first
it's
one
listed
we
as
did.
FAL.
The panel on Campbell Street was the first panel we
Right.
did, and that goes back to 2010.
Yeah, that would've been that one.
So let's use up that money,
I thought we had closed that account.
not in 2015.
Oh, then we should close that out.
Well, it depends. If that only budgeted for the panel, we can't,
Yeah,
that would be a
that's-
change in scope.
That's what it was. That was
These
the
are-
first panel we did.
The trail signs are signs. Panels are signs, trail
Yeah,
signs
but
are signs.
the description of the trails and all of that came out of a separate project.
Yeah,
If there's money in the other budget, yeah, we should look at that.
but you should close that out
I'll look at,
because
I'll look at
we,
both of them and see what the descriptions were.
Yeah, because
They-
we finished when I think when I gave you the Tri-County, that was the last bill, outstanding bill.
Okay.
That was waiting for him. And you paid for the, it included the wetland study that was
Right.
done. It did the landmark survey,
Right.
generating a survey map, and it created the Highland Grove panel. It was all part of that same package.
And the Pondville
signage.
panel.
Okay, the entrance to Falls Park, it still says Falls Park. It was does it sound 2014 was the
Right,
project?
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was
original
12 it was
8697, and there's 4,500 left.
Oh, I'm looking at one for 12,000.
It could have been that.
Well, the whole package, I think, because we have the City Mills panel, the Pondville panel, and then the work at Highland Lake. So it was a combo.
All right, well, anyway, there's enough, we'll just have to figure out the proper account to take
Figure
it
out
out
which
of.
budget to take it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A part of it will depend on the description of the, in the warrant article and, so yeah, we can look at it. I'll take a look and see.
So what do you think? Was it doable?
I think.
How wide are the trails?
How wide do you want them?
They're not made yet.
Not very. I mean, you have to.
3 feet, 4 feet?
And it's like 4 feet, I think.
Yeah, I was going to
Pretty
say, you have to
typical.
go a little wider in order to get rid of the shrubs at the beginning, and then it'll establish
Go
itself.
back, yeah.
I thought we needed a footbridge to go
Yes,
over the
that's
wetlands.
that's the other issue.
88.
Okay.
That hasn't been resolved yet.
I think so.
And
Okay.
I just talked to Dan as to it, picking his brain as to what's up there. The main bugaboo is up at the top, just before, see where this loop is? A
Yeah.
and B?
Yeah,
All right, that's a wetland area, that's the old pond.
Yeah.
Swimming pool. And there was, evidently, when they didn't take the boards in and out of the dam in the winter in Highland Lake for many years, the water backed up and it overflowed, and it followed the lowest course, and it went down and found the swimming pool hole, and has created this finger projection of wetland down into that circle area. So I'm not sure how extensive it is and whether we need a boardwalk across that wetland or we need a footbridge. It depends on the width. And someone suggested to me, I think it was Mr. Bain this morning, suggested using Tri-County maybe to build the footbridge on the boardwalk. But that would be, we'd have to put that off until, they come back to school in the fall.
It could also be, it potentially could be an Eagle project, because.
Well, I've not had much luck with the Eagle projects. I've sent inquiries to the Boy Scouts 3 consecutive years and got no response.
are the prisoners accomplished enough to put a?
They can't
build
use
a
any
boardwalk?
power tools.
Oh. Okay.
They
It has to
can't
come
use any
pre-cut.
No, yeah, everything would have to be assemblage because because he said, we can't cut down any trees, because they can't use a chainsaw. They can use loppers, they can use a weed whacker, that sort of thing. But so I would assume, anything in the way of skill saw or anything of that, which you probably more likely need if you're going to build a bridge or a footpath, would be out of the question. I don't think I don't get from the literature and talking with them that they're into construction.
Would, if there is a boardwalk or a bridge, would you have to go before conservation?
So it's just.
You could come informally and just ask if this is something we need to do a notice of intent for, but I don't know if,
Conservation laid out the trail,
yeah, but I think,
but there was no knowledge at the table that
Yeah.
night as to the extent of, there was a recognition there was wetland there, but nobody addressed the question of
yeah,
how
I've
much.
walked over that spot many times, and there's no bridge there now, and I didn't get my feet wet.
Well, I think maybe what we're dealing with is a seasonal problem. That, in the winter, if we had it, and the level of the lake is high, you're going to get leachage down into there. But I don't think it's a flowing stream,
No, it's not.
no.
So,
And I think you're going to see it dry out in the summer months. So, long run, it needs something,
yeah, it sounds like a footbridge would be overkill, but a boardwalk would,
yeah.
but putting down boards would be
Yeah,
appropriate.
there have been boards there in the past,
Yeah, that
where
sounds
somebody had laid something across it.
like a wise thing to do.
Well, a boardwalk, all they do is they just anchor it, so they
Yeah.
get it up so that
Right.
you're not squishing the
Right,
wetlands.
right.
I'm thinking of the same thing.
Yeah,
Two boards on either on either side of it, and
Right.
then planks that
Planks
traverse.
across, yeah.
Well, I can go up there and take a look at it.
yeah. But as
Now's
I
the high
say,
season.
if we get the main fit work done, then, these are the little amenities we can
Right.
go back and work.
Yeah,
with.
if the trails are laid out, you can go back and put that boardwalk in anytime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same, I want to put in a dock,
Right,
so that the people that go up there to fish, if they want to go out and stand on the dock and fish from the dock, or if they brought their kayak or their canoe up, they've got someplace to put it in the water.
It'd
And
be
that will
nice.
save them tromping all along the waterfront to get there, to fish and to get in there.
well, once the trails go in, I'd be happy to assist in reaching out to Boy Scouts.
Okay? Someone suggested use the Girl Scouts.
Are the Girl
Wow.
Scouts?
But
I don't know
I-
if they do
Well, the-
boardwalks.
Right, the troop that I know of are too young to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
But-
Hey, you don't have any real active senior scouts here?
We used some for the Friends of the Library.
What's that?
We used some Girl Scouts at the library book sale,
Yeah.
and they were junior high or high school. They were quite capable. They were moving boxes, from one end of the room to the other, just like the Boy Scouts.
Yeah. Well, anyway, when it gets laid out, we
I can give you
We can all
find the name and
pursue.
send it to
Okay,
you.
good. More than willing. As I said, I've just, I've contacted, I think, two different leaders, because I guess Troop 80 is changing leadership again.
Yeah,
this year.
they're, the Scoutmaster left as of February, so
That
there's a
was
new
Lutz,
one.
right? Okay, and Norman was the one before, Lutz, I think.
Could have
Dave
been.
Lutz.
It's-
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dave Lutz
but-
was.
Yeah, but Norman on Grove Street, his son was the one that did the survey of the cemetery for us.
Yep.
I think he was the scoutmaster for Troop 80 then.
Might
And
have
then it
been.
was Lutz.
Yep.
And I contacted Lutz twice, I think. I've sent letters to Lutz and got no answer.
I'll badger them.
Well, I
Having,
mean,
having two Eagles
well,
kids.
I just play
can
the
do it.
polite route, You know me. Persistent, polite. Very good. I'm very encouraged. That's great.
Wow, that's super. All right, so we had one other thing that you could address if you wish.
Yep.
And that is the parcel that abuts Highland Lake that we had discussed, Mr. Roach's parcel that we had discussed having a site walk in. If he is still amenable and interested,
Yep.
Betty and I were actually talking about it at the Fails opening, because it occurred to me not too long ago that, guess what, the snow's gone, we can go.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you're thinking on that.
Fine. He's still of the same mind, that he'd like to go ahead with it. And I talked to him, and he, of course, he's a little young to remember, but his father would remember. And you raised the question of pollution from the old garage that was there. As I recall, Mr. Nelson was a friend of my father's. My father was in the automotive trade. And I recall going over there as a young girl several times to drop something off that my father had got for Carl, or to send, go over and get something from Carl after my father. And Carl set that garage up, to my memory, as a retirement. It was after the war, and he had pretty much got out of the trade. And so he decided he'd convert that old building, which was part of the mill, into a garage, and he'd work from home, because he owned the Morse House up on the hill. So he converted it into a one-man garage, and he used to do local repairs. But I have no memory whatsoever of any junkyard or anything extensive there. It was just, if you had problems with your car, you went down to see Carl, and he'd fix it. And he was a backyard mechanic. So it wasn't really an automotive shop operation. It was a one-man repair shop. And it only functioned, Carl was there probably about 10, 15 years before he passed on, because they bought the property in the late 40s, and as I recall, Carl died in the late 60s. So that'd be less than 15 years, probably 12. His widow lived there, remarried and lived there for a number of years before she passed away. And Carl bought the mill site, which is what created all the confusion with the triangle and who owns what and what they were taking for taxes.
Barbara, what does Kevin want to still go forward with?
He wants to sell his whatever rights he has in the dam and the property that he holds on the west bank of the river, the east bank of the river, and up next to the railroad tracks. It's about, I think the assessment sheet shows it to be 30-some thousand square feet of property, land.
It's a single parcel? Separated from the house?
It's separated by the river.
Right. East and west bank.
Yeah, east and west bank. He definitely owns the east bank. He bought it from Mr. Nichols in 1961. The west bank is questionable because I believe that's part of the holdings of the Department of Correction with the dam.
Yeah.
But he'll relinquish, he'll sign, he'll give you whatever rights he has in that west bank. And I've yet to have the meeting. We got caught with the blizzards of February, and we've got the town meeting of April. So as soon as the town meeting's over, I plan to pin the selectmen down as to the commitment to approaching the Department of Correction relative to the town, managing that dam. They can keep the ownership if they want it, but let us clean it up and essentially. And that report I gave you of the dam, if you read it carefully, they're saying there's really nothing wrong with the dam except, it's getting old, but it's perfectly functional. It's a minimal risk, and the real problem down there is, at least in my mind, is a safety concern. That the roof on the old mill platform is collapsing, and there are sinkholes there that need to be addressed.
Right.
And we need to cut the vegetation out of there because it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and the elevation change from where the dam is to where the lake is makes it not as effective in managing the level of the water.
Yeah, but, it's interesting, and I've had to question anyone directly, but I didn't recall any complaints last summer about stench down there.
Yeah,
And I wonder if that episode that we had early in the spring with the boards getting taken out and the dam going down to a mud puddle, and then the lake reasserting itself, didn't do some cleansing that was really needed, and therefore we didn't get and it was a dry summer.
Right.
So, you should have had that sulfite smell that we've had every other summer.
Right.
And nobody said boo.
Yeah. All right, what do you think is the best way for us to propose a date and see if it is
I
all
would
right?
say,
Would
yeah.
he,
Yeah,
would you anticipate that he would be there, or we would be on our own? Or do you not
Well,
know?
he works, of course, he runs the garage, so, this,
Right,
if he knows specifically, in a time frame, I'm sure he can
okay.
buzz over while you're there, answer any questions,
And you-
et cetera.
You'd come along with us?
I'll come.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go mountain goating, but I'll look in at what you're doing. I'd love to climb up in there, but I'm not up to it.
So will you,
We
Pick a
can
date.
talk about it right now. I mean, I don't know if people kind of know their schedules. This weekend is Mother's Day weekend. I don't know what's going on. Anyone?
Oh, I know, lots going on this weekend.
What's
Yeah,
This weekend?
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
weekend.
of course, yeah.
Plus, you're getting into graduations now.
Yeah.
Colleges are all starting.
May 16, 17 weekend.
well, can't be late in a day? It's
I was gonna say,
late.
it's light now till
Oh,
almost
that's
8,
true.
almost
I mean,
8 o'clock,
weekends, there aren't
If
many a
you went
month.
over there around 6:30, 7 o'clock,
Yeah, people,
you haven't got a great distance to march over. It's a confined area, so.
commuting people, what time can you make?
I could, if the train's on time, I could be there by 6:20.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I'd say
What day?
6:20 is easy.
We'll get to that.
No date yet.
Do you have, it has to be a
I'm
day
just
when you're
getting a
not on
Time
call.
of night,
A mutual convenience.
That's in June.
yeah.
Perfect. This is the month to do it then.
All right, so you said like 6:45? Sorry.
No, 6:20 would be better. Better do it on the way home than to go home and come back out.
Okay.
Decompress and then have to go out.
Yeah, wouldn't happen.
All right, well, let's say 6:30, and, I don't know, somebody throw out, I know there are meetings and such,
Well,
so,
town meeting is the 12th.
our meeting is the
And
12th.
if it goes 2 nights, I don't know.
28 articles?
13.
Mr. Talaman didn't seem to think it would go to, but one can never tell.
Mm-hmm.
So this Concom is on the 13th, right?
No,
No?
there's no Concom on the 13th.
No Concom on the
Because
13th.
they're thinking that it might run over, so
Okay.
they just don't schedule it.
What night is planning board meeting now, Andrea? Tuesdays or Thursdays?
It goes back and forth,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
not till the 19th.
Okay. How about May 14th?
I can do that, I think.
Can do that.
Meet where? At the dam?
Yeah, yeah.
6:30?
May 14th at
I would
6:30?
say-
Yeah.
I'll let you,
Honestly.
I'll let you-
honestly,
Kevin.
I'll
At
probably
the
be
end
there.
at Fails
He can probably
Park.
be there because
Yeah.
he generally closes up around 6.
all right.
6:20 work for people, or is that too odd a time?
Oh, 6:20 works. You get from the train to.
Straight
To
over.
there, okay. 6:20?
Well, we better say 6:21.
Oh, it'll be 6:21.
Okay, so where are we meeting exactly?
Yeah, where would be I don't know about parking and such.
It's the same as it is on Campbell Street. There's not a lot of room, but if you park, as you go down the hill, you can park there along the right side, going towards the Nichols house.
Is there a street address? Like,
The Morse house is 18, and I think Kevin's lot is 22.
so
20,
would
22.
meeting at Fails Park
What
work?
street?
Yeah,
Campbell
why
Street.
not
Yeah,
the
we
Fails
can
Park?
walk there, sure.
Because it's right on the other side of the
Yeah,
railroad track.
Yeah, but you're looking at the dam site, which is on the other side. It's over by the Morse house.
Yeah, but isn't it a curve, and so it'd be safer to leave the car?
There's
No.
only room for like 3
No,
cars.
when you get to the Nichols house, the road curves, but if you come down from Seccong Street, when you get near the bottom of the hill, when you get to the Morse house, it's a straight shot down there to the Nichols house before that curve.
all right, so do we go down Old Campbell Street?
No, go down Campbell Street.
Campbell Street. So me,
Like cemetery and hook a right on Campbell. You get
What
down the
number,
bottom of the
Campbell?
hill. The dam area is just below the Morse house, which is that little bungalow perched on the hill.
so what number Campbell
It's 22, actually.
is Kevin's?
That's the lot for the dam, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to the dam, right?
Yeah,
Where the little garage is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, Kevin's house.
yeah.
yeah, okay, just checking.
I'm going for
Kevin doesn't
20.
live there.
No, but that's his.
Who lives
Kevin's
there?
sister, what?
Who was that?
Kevin's sister lives up in
Oh, okay.
the Moss house.
Might it be better, some of us come all together in one car?
Yeah.
I mean, we could leave the cars at the church or someplace.
Or Old Town Hall parking lot, commuter parking lot?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be
That's where I'm
good.
going.
Okay,
All right, well, we can coordinate
Worked
that.
really well for me.
yeah.
We can coordinate that.
Yeah, there's always extra spaces there.
'Cause,
Oh, good.
yeah, parking wasn't bad for the memorial. I mean, it was fine.
It's not a busy street.
No. All
Okay,
right.
the last thing I have, I don't know, did you get this on the tax title list? Have you seen this?
I noticed Campbell Street was on it. I saw it posted
Yeah,
somewhere.
I stumbled on it this morning. Anyway, it's 22 Campbell. All right, that's the other side of the bridge. That's the mill site. So, excuse me, I'm wrong, it's 20. 20 Campbell is where the dam is.
What?
22 is the next one.
I don't want to be sitting at the
I
wrong.
had 22 in the brain. Anywho, so I went into the treasurer's office to find out, what gives. I thought we would take in the trailhead.
Right.
Okay, not this time.
No.
They ran out of money. So they're going to, as soon as the new budget is in, quote and unquote, they're going to start the taking on the trailhead.
Okay. Because I saw that and I just assumed it was the trailhead without looking.
I know.
But that was 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is actually not a taking. It's a clarification because the town already owns it.
Oh, all right.
Nichols' son gave it to them,
Okay.
Who told you this?
the treasurer, Cheryl. Went to the horse's mouth to solve the problem.
What's cheaper than clearing the title?
Yeah, 13,000.
Yeah.
They're forgiving, they waived the taxes, and he sold the town the property for $1.
Yeah, that's great.
So she said this is just legalese to clean that mess out, and that the other one is going to be on the next, as the new fiscal year kicks in, funds become available, then they're going to start the proceedings to take the other. So I just thought I'd picked up that little tidbit this morning.
I did see that.
No, but you gotta be in the right place and ask the right questions,
That's right.
then you get the answers. Hey, thank you all. So now
All
what?
right.
I may proceed to contract with the Department of Corrections to make the signs and
Yeah, I think
It's in
so.
one, it's
Well,
in one, it's in
in
one
one-
scope or the other.
Yeah, it's in one or the other.
all right, good. They got them all waiting to hear from me, so gotta wait until I got permission to do these things.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Barbara. Great job.
Appreciate all you do, Barbara.
Oh, I work at it.
You do.
Excuse me for one second. That list I gave you the other night, answer all your questions.
Yes, yes. thank
Okay,
you.
There was
Um,
another property abutting the Highland Lake, that Highland Pond, the Fales Park Pond Preserve that might be available on this side.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know.
Who's?
Yeah, whose? I don't remember.
Okay.
The one down the end? At the cul-de-sac?
The property that comes from here
Yeah?
goes along Highland, and there's an entrance on Seekonk, and it's an old family.
Oh, the man property.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Oh.
I got this quirky thing about not liking to use names in public meetings.
Yes, as a matter, I was not thinking that
It's
was
right
a
there.
budding. Okay.
It's right there.
Marie told me today that there has been no contact from the family beyond the initial.
Okay, okay. That is extremely valuable property to making Highland Pond,
Yeah, Dirty Brook feeds it.
to make this trail really work and actually go somewhere. Because it'll not only connect over to Seekonk, and so it'll be a nice long loop, but it also has frontage on that little pond on 115 next to the cemetery. It's a wonderful piece for
So as
conservation.
Matthew said, so you don't have to turn around
Right.
and go back.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
It's the rest of the undeveloped access on Highland. So it's everything but King Philip, pretty much.
So are we going to eventually,
I heard that there was interest.
The family approached conservation responded. I
Hopefully
looked
favorably.
to see if we had any information in our files, which we did not, because an appraisal, what I found out was the appraisal was approved and then not done because the family changed its mind. And so Conservation reached out to the family, but there has been no response at this point. I was told today.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's hanging there. We don't know.
Yeah, it's there when
Okay.
it's,
Yeah, the only part that
Yep.
butts is down here in the marsh. None of the lake itself is undeveloped.
All right, thank
Bye.
you. Marshall Street Conservation
it's- it does
restriction.
abut, right? You think it's all, I thought it was upland.
Oh, Marshall Street.
Yep, it's a gray property.
Yeah.
Down here. Right up here.
Okay, so the gray property closed on Friday, and the conservation restriction was recorded at the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. It is all done, and it is now owned by Audubon with our rights to access and our rights to put a parking area in. So we're actually just awaiting paperwork, like the final copies of everything to come through to us, but basically, it's all legal and done, and everybody's happy. So, at some point, we can kind of figure out, what we want to do over there. We'll have to coordinate with Audubon as far as putting a couple of parking spaces over there. So for the audience, this is a parcel on Marshall Street that was owned by the Gray family, and they split their parcel into two. And the one that the town now has a conservation restriction on is owned by the Audubon. It abuts the Audubon on the, not Stony Brook, Nature Center side of the street. And at some point, we will be able to put in a few parking spaces right there on Marshall Street, which will allow access directly. Audubon's going to put some trails in, will allow access into the Audubon property from Marshall Street. And the trailhead there and the parking will be able to be used for people to just walk down the street a little bit and get into the Lind Farm. So that is going forward, and we can talk about, what we want to do there whenever. There's things that, I don't know if it makes sense to do it before they put their trails in. I'll have to coordinate with Audubon and see what they're going to do.
And if there's any money left in the account, maybe we can put a trailhead sign in? Is the parking a separate?
Parking, we did not budget anything for
Right.
parking.
Okay, so maybe a trailhead sign might be,
Audubon might be putting one in. I don't know. As I said, we'll have to coordinate with them and work things out with them. So I don't know, I would imagine they'd put a little note there saying that it's Audubon property, a little sign of some kind, but I don't know how big, and yeah. So as that winds through, we'll have to work with them and see what we can do. So that's a good thing. Okay, we did that. The 387 Main Street, the appraisal. This was a family that came to us with an offer to sell about 18 acres. It abuts Comey's Pond. It's on the Franklin line. And we had voted a couple meetings ago to go ahead with an appraisal. And I now have a quote for the appraisal after my third try with various appraisers. And the quote has come from a company called New England Valuation Group. The man's name is Mike Hamburg, and he was actually referred to me by Chuck Green, who used to work with Fred Buckland, and in fact, this Mike Hamburg also used to work with Fred Buckland, who was an appraiser in Norfolk for many years. He's moved out of town. So the New England Valuation Group handout that I have is his proposal. And I gave him a plan, and I sent him the GIS stuff that I had. Obviously, he has access to that too, but it was stuff that he could see. And I did point out to him that we have that Finn Grove wetland that abuts the cart path going in, and acknowledging that we knew that that was going to be an issue. For the audience, the town, should it decide to go forward with purchasing, can never purchase, or with CPA funds, cannot purchase above the appraised value of the property. So that is a very important factor when we assess whether or not we're interested in a property. And clearly, if two-way traffic can get in there and a subdivision can be put in of however many homes, be it 2, be it 8, be it 10, that's going to have a significant impact on the appraised value. If a two-way road cannot go in, and it becomes, an estate lot, that also has a significant impact on the appraised value. So Mr. Hamburg had suggested to me after he looked at the plan that we should have an engineer actually take a look at it and do a subdivision or not plan as it is. So that is the email that says 387 Main Street. This is, so the engineer that he recommended is Dan Merrickin. He's out of Millis. I guess planning board is familiar.
Comes
I'm
before the planning board.
sure conservation is probably familiar as well, but
American engineer?
yeah, he does say, in his email, he says, "I can tell you now there will be uncertainty. Norfolk has a 50-foot no-touch around wetlands and generally does not like any work in the buffer zone. Having said that, though, this is the only access to a large property, and such access ways are normally construed as necessary." So I did suggest to him that, and so the reason I brought this, even though we all agreed to pay for the appraisal, we did not discuss an engineering cost. So that is why this is all coming forward. So he is estimating an initial assessment with a letter report and a sketch of potential subdivision would be $1,400. This would not include any field work such as wetlands delineation, septic testing, survey, et cetera, and he'd need $750 retainer to begin. Now, obviously, this is not a written proposal, but I said I would discuss with the group and then get back to him. And I also gave my opinion that, actually, because we talked about it, that I did not think a wetlands delineation would be necessary, that we could assume that top of bank would be the limit. And then I also...
Excuse me, top of bank, there's a creek coming down, coming from the street. The creek is, that goes into the pond. Is it the bank at the creek or farther back?
It's this
Where
one, hold
the-
on. Actually, it's not on here, but I can,
Really, yeah, it's not on.
it's,
I questioned whether it was a wetland or bordering land subject to flooding. But I was there in the winter. That's why I was questioning.
it shows as a wetland on any topographic map.
Oh, good.
Okay.
That makes it easier.
So,
Down there,
where am I? All right, so he comes in here,
right.
right?
And that's where the creek is, right there.
Here. And then there's that finger that comes here.
Yes, so where's the?
So that's what we're talking about, is this right here.
Okay.
And the top of bank
Okay,
being the delineation.
okay.
That's a safe way to do it, and the rest of it's a road anyway, so.
Pardon me?
The rest of that top of bank is a road.
Right.
Top of bank also is on the road, a dirt road.
Right.
access coming in.
So I offered that opinion.
I think it was a good one.
And,
It's conservative.
And I suggested that an informal meeting with conservation might be in order. If he, I'm not sure.
I was, when I brought this to the planning board, the planning board member, who's also a Conservation Commission member,
Yes.
had a pretty strong opinion. So I think it would be,
Opinion of what?
of the buildability of this.
Right.
Yes,
And so I thought that,
and we would be wise to listen to that opinion.
Well, that is why I thought that it
I-
might be helpful to have an informal conversation with conservation.
depending on how much you want the property, you might want to spend the money to have a professional delineation.
All you
Because
need is that
if it
finger.
gets into a he said, she said, and it's the chairman of the planning board, the chairman of the Concom,
No, I don't, I mean, if you have a dirt road, and then right at the edge of that dirt road, it drops off 2 feet into a marsh, I think it's safe to assume there's the wetland line right there. And you could put it further over into the dirt road and into those people's front yard, but
if you leave it at the base of the the bank for the driveway, you think would be okay?
Top of the, where it
Okay, okay,
because this is a one-lane road.
yep.
In order to make it developable, you have to fill in.
Well, that's the other thing, is
The
that,
question is, where's the road relative to the other property line? I
Right, we don't know
agree
where the
with-
other property line
I
is.
agree with Merkin that an access way into a property is usually the planning board's going to try to make it, if it's feasible, we're going to try to make it happen. And so
Well-
conservation is going to be a really key issue.
Well, it's feasible. You just have to make the appropriate replication area
yeah,
and
but
everything
any,
else.
all the replication, the only places that the replication could be are at that spot, because the whole rest of the pond is town land.
Yeah. It's expand, yeah.
Well, anyway, we don't need to actually determine that now, I just, you know,
It's
I
possible-
want to know whether we should go ahead and I should get a formal proposal from him.
Yeah,
I get a proposal.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I have a voucher prepared for
Just
the
get something in writing.
retainer.
Yeah, I apologize. I actually, this planner wasn't, the new planner we have wasn't able to do this type of sketch plan work, whereas the previous town planner we had could do it informally, but we have a change of personnel, so
Yeah.
it didn't work out. So I apologize for the lost, time wasted.
Well, I've talked to the Rosellas, and I told them we're moving forward, that we had some hiccups with the town planner in trying to get an appraiser. Because I went, like I said, this was my third shot, and everyone took, a little bit of time, so they're fine. All right, so the question is, would people feel comfortable signing the voucher for the retainer?
Or what?
All right, you're going to
$750.
retain this value, for the notes, valuation group to do,
No, that's not for him.
all right, what are we,
The retainer is, see the 387 Main Street
yeah.
email? So this was for Dan Merrickin. He's estimating $1,400 for a sketch of a subdivision, but he needs a $750 retainer to get started.
Okay, but we're going to get a proposal.
What's he
I would
gonna-
get the
what's-
proposal.
What's he gonna do for $700?
Are we getting a proposal to do
It's just a
an
retainer.
appraisal?
Sketch plan of,
Yeah,
he's
but
going
what
to,
do-
it's
yeah,
going to
but-
be
I
office
think it's for the
evaluation of
engineering.
the property.
Isn't this for the engineering?
Yeah.
This is the end, this is
The
for the
14
engineering.
hun-
We're giving him $750.
Yeah, I get
And in,
that,
and in theory,
yeah,
he could come and say, oh, it's $4,000, $5,000.
yeah.
No, I'm going to get a formal proposal for this.
Okay, so what happens to the $750 if we?
I wasn't
decide
going
not
to send
go?
it until I get a formal proposal.
Oh, okay.
This was just, so the question was, are people comfortable signing this now, or do you want to wait until we get the formal proposal and then retain it? Which means, potentially another month that we call a interim meeting once I get the formal proposal. That's kind of the question, which we can do. Or, if I have it by May,
Did you already
14.
voted, we already voted for the main appraisal,
correct.
right?
We did not encompass specifically
Right.
any engineering, because we thought the town planner might be able to do it.
Well, I make a motion that we allow Cindy to get a proposal from American Engineering, and that we, as long as it's no more than 1,400, that we should go ahead and set up the retainer.
Yeah, because,
He gave that price.
right, he said it wouldn't include any field work, so I'd have to specifically
So-
ask for
So
any
field work
add-ons.
could be a separate issue.
Well, we're not doing wetlands delineation. We're not doing septic testing.
It's
only
just laying
thing-
out the lots.
Right. The survey, I don't know, we'd have to find out. They said they had the lot surveyed, whether or not they have any bounds next to that existing Victorian home, because that really, they need to know where that lot line is. So that's the only thing really that I see might be additional.
We could also check the registry of deeds for that property.
Well, we have the survey plan, it's a matter of locating the marks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
So your motion is to go ahead and get a proposal not to exceed $1,400 from American Engineering.
And then to allow her to proceed with that, as long as the price doesn't exceed more than 1,400, she can go ahead and proceed. She can authorize the work. I said something like that.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Anyone else, any discussion? Anyone have any other thoughts on this?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So if I have any questions whatsoever, I will not.
As long as we don't have like an issue off committee that, we had to do something outside of what we vote for, because, it came in at 16 or 17.
No, I wouldn't let it go.
Okay.
All right, so I'll pass this around then, and it will be held until I receive a formal proposal, which I will forward to everybody. Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor of just Andrea's proposal, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so I'll send along the cover sheet for this, and then I'll just hang on to it until things come in.
Talk about blank checks.
Yeah, blank check. That's it. There was a parcel off Main Street on our list, but it has not come forward. It's someone who contacted the planning board, Betsy Fidgel, and she referred the family to me. I called, but I hadn't not received a response. It is because we don't like to name names, it is a landlocked parcel that I believe abuts the existing conservation land on Grove Street, off Grove Street.
Is it one we've looked at before?
Yes,
Okay.
by the tracks.
Yes.
Coming down the tracks.
Yeah.
So nothing has happened.
So nothing has
Where
happened.
you were on the board.
Okay.
I'm lost.
About
I'll
7
tell you.
acres.
Yeah, seems about right. But since, no one is here and I have not had discussions, it's just mentioning that it
Is there already
Was broached.
conservation land on Grove?
yeah, there's a big parcel off Grove Street. I'm not sure, it's not accessible. Is it, Dan, from the road, the Grove Street conservation land?
I'm drawing a blank on it.
Okay. I don't think it's accessible
Okay.
from the street. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Could I just ask a question about the Pondville sign, the panel? The file has been sent today from Tri-County to Paneer. It's they had to reconnoiter it they will send me an actual hard copy model of what,
like-
proof,
yeah.
right. Then I will tell them if it's okay. Then, Bob McGee came over to my house yesterday and we talked about where it would go. So it will, after it's made and put in the panel, then all of that big, huge thing is sent to the DPW, and they keep it until we actually have it inserted.
Refresh my memory where it was going to be put in?
The triangle that's speaking of triangles, at the top, at the entrance of Old Pond Street,
Oh, okay.
which runs down next to my house,
Yep, okay.
opposite the old house that,
Yes.
from what I'm hearing now, is probably going to be gone.
Did it sell?
No,
Oh.
wait, it just probably will
Okay.
one day be gone. If my gut serves me right. So am I what do I do? Call you up and say I need a check for 50%, which I have to send to Paneer before they will actually send it to me?
Yeah, how soon do you think you'll need it?
Well, I don't, couple of weeks. I mean, what's the process for getting a check from, who do I get it from?
We'll
Oh.
prepare a voucher, so,
Because I have an invoice already. Yeah,
we could have done it today.
well, we didn't. So I can put it in the CPC.
Yeah, put the invoice in the box and tell me how much you need,
Okay,
and I'll pick it up and I'll make a voucher, and if you need it before our next meeting, then we'll do a signing
I
thing.
probably will.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right, yeah.
We don't have to be in session to sign a voucher, right?
No, I've been leaving it, actually,
Oh, no.
it's worked
Why don't
fairly,
we bring it to town meeting?
can do that too. I can bring,
A
yeah,
lot
we
of
can bring it
people
to
go
town meeting.
Bring the invoice.
Yeah, if you put the invoice in the box before town meeting, I'll pick it up, make a voucher, bring
Okay,
it to town meeting.
okay, that's good, thank you.
And then, because it takes a week thereafter to cut the check. You know, it goes
Yeah.
on the warrant on Tuesday, the checks are cut on Thursday.
Okay.
So it would be done the following week, but that'll work.
And then who holds on to it until I,
Well,
I don't know exactly when the next three things will happen.
the check can be cut and it can be held until it's ready to be sent out.
But who holds it, you?
I would just let finance, I just say, just don't send it out
I've
until I
never
tell you,
done this.
okay.
Okay.
Because that's what we did with the Gray property, actually, they cut the check and then didn't mail it until I gave them the okay that the conservation restriction had been recorded.
Okay.
So I just asked them to hold it until we say, okay, but at least that way it's ready to go. So, anyone have anything else? All right, I will
Oh,
hear, I
the
will not hear.
minutes?
Oh, the minutes, yes.
I just, on Town Pond, Bob McGee spells his name without an H.
Oh,
That's all.
It's actually MC capital G-H-E-E.
There you go.
there is an H. I thought you said without.
C capital
Capital G.
G-H-E-E.
M.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay, well, the
positive.
name
Would you
was spelled
spell it
wrong.
once more? M?
MC capital G-H-E-E. Yeah, if people, these aren't very long. If people don't mind, just take us,
Well, I read it, and I appreciate you having it done, because I wasn't at that meeting.
Betsy did them.
Well, I sent them to Cindy and she couldn't
I couldn't
open
open
them. And then I redid a little,
The, and Cindy, you got my comments from reading the planning board, reading the open space
Yep.
survey. You got it through an email.
Yep,
Okay, you sent it, and Gino's got it.
yes,
Okay.
yep, and Historic sent
We
them,
wanna vote on these
and Bob
minutes?
sent them, and what?
We want to vote on these?
Yeah, we will. Let me read through quick.
Do you know the inventor of Survey Monkey died?
Yes, I
Okay,
did hear that.
just let you know. That happened like last week or so.
And I would just say, I'll write this, I'll give it to you. Available grants would be helpful. CPA tax was cut from 3% to 1%.
where's that?
Under the OSRP discussion.
From 3% to 1%, okay.
Texts.
I'll get you a clean copy of this, Cindy, and put it in your mailbox.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with it. Other
Motion
people
to
still
accept.
reading? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes of Wednesday, April 1? All in-
We've already had,
Huh?
beyond what's already been discussed.
Beyond what's already been discussed, yes. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It is a vote. They are approved as amended. Could you give that, my couple comments to Betsy? Okay, are we done? I think,
If anybody's interested, I have the Bible, the Norfolk CDC binder. Do you have one?
no.
Okay. I might keep this, but there is everything. All the budget stuff and all the, the applications we've had and the
Oh,
matrices and
$5,000-6,000 so far.
wow.
Really?
might be more,
Yeah.
it might be more concise than what we have in our office.
Can you still send it in?
Take a peek through it, and I'll put it downstairs.
Um,
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes?
Is there any further discussion?
check.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned at 9:15.
And that, sounds like